What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ho to Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. I got both of my co-hosts on the line with me tonight. I got my man, Jay Bobo. What's good, man?
Not much, man. Looking forward to another great episode. Want to give a quick shout out to Jamaica for all those of us that been listening to us out there. I see we're constantly ranked for relationships out there in Jamaica, so shout out to y'all for listening. But want to remind you, you can follow us on TikTok as well as subscribe to us on YouTube at the Ho to Husband Podcast. All right, T.
I got my man SD in the building. What's good, man?
You know, this week sucked in fantasy football because you beat the brakes off my team. So I'm not doing too good right now. But
I saw that.
Through. Thanks. I appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to Brother Soul Production for always keeping the background audio fresh. And I want to remind you all to donate to the Ho to Husband Podcast on Cash App and PayPal.
I want to remind everybody y'all can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on thecore94.com. And I also want to remind y'all that y'all can now watch the podcast on Spotify. Tonight's episode, we got a real interesting guest that'll be coming on. Tonight's episode is titled "Why'd He Pick Her?" And we're going to be talking about a wife and motherly perspective on the current dating scene. So I'm anxious to have that conversation. But y'all know how we get down on the Ho to Husband Podcast. We like to talk about stuff that we've been seeing on our timeline and stuff that been going viral. And ain't nothing I ain't done seen on my timeline mode than this Megan Thee Stallion trial and all this type of situation. But we got a specific clip. A particular part of the trial regarding her sex life has been topic of discussion. Let's take a look.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Now, women get to sleep with whoever they want to sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
That's never been the question. That does not mean that is not going to have a negative impact on her ability to accomplish her relationship goals. I don't know how many times women need to hear this, but promiscuous behavior is not viewed the same between men and women for a variety of reasons. And so, for her boyfriend to be done wifed her up and snatched her up and be, proclaim her as his queen and all that on social media, for the reality that she was with two dudes a couple weeks, like within a 1 week or another and all that to come out, I can see why he felt like a damn fool. Because we've all seen that dude that's the damn fool for the thought in the hood. So
wife and next month.
It's come with the territory, man. That's what happened when you try to wife up chicks like that.
Yeah. It happens every day, man, out here. But the part that got me is she embarrassed. What you embarrassed about? This is your persona. You talk about not doing this for money, throwing this on them, doing all of this promiscuous behavior in your songs. You're not embarrassed to be up on stage with your booty out grinding on another chick on the stage, kissing all on this girl. You ain't embarrassed for your family then. Now you embarrassed because your actual sexual history is coming out to light when you lied about it on national TV. She said, I did not have a sexual relationship with that man. And then it comes out that it did.
That happened a lot, man.
Yeah, but that's why she's embarrassed, because she lied. And now it's coming out to light. And the boyfriend is embarrassed because now she probably told him that it was a lie also. Because the baby, remember the baby put in his song, I Smashed Megan Thee Stallion. This is why she was with this dude. This is why she was with this dude. And she say, hey, that's a lie. Well, now it comes out that it's true. Yes, he's going to be embarrassed. He should, to me, if he was any type of stand-up man about himself, he'd walk away from Shorty. But she got money. So, it might take...
don't he got money too? He
I don't know him. No. I ain't never heard of him.
I thought he wrote for Cardi B or something. I don't know. I don't know much about him either, except that he's dating Megan. But dudes brag about that though. Like some dudes, they take pride in being able to say that they
Yeah.
wifed up the chick that several other dudes smashed. What'd you think, Jay?
Exactly. Man, reminds me of, what was that, Pusha T on that song? He said, like that, Bron, had that long time ago. Man, that resonated. But yeah, she's embarrassed because now her credibility is in question here, because all the stuff she's saying wasn't true is coming to light here. So, of course, and like you said, we all know that dude that wipes the smut, the one that you don't smash, the homie don't smash. We all done smutted out, ran the train, and yeah, you look at this dude wiping,
somebody.
Damn.
Something, yeah, man. It'd be awkward situations like that or you just be general conversation, and somebody find out you hit, and you see like they eyes water up, or they get emotional over it. Like I didn't know you fuck her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know you. Like we all did.
I mean, listen. Granted, every chick has a past, but yeah. You don't want to be that guy where damn the dudes done smarted out. Like there was that one meme where it was dudes that ran the train, took turns. There was a gangbang, and it was like every chick was that chick in college or something like that. I'm like, damn, you don't want to be dude to wipe that chick, man.
Yeah, like we don't like. Men don't. We know that women aren't going to be virgins. Like, come on, nowadays.
Yeah,
we know
that's not the expectation.
But at the same time, we don't want to know the number and all these dudes that you've been smashing back to back, especially out in the industry. I'm sure it's a lot different. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody in your business.
Oh man, they list is so long.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things, because for men, it's different than it is for women, because women don't have to do anything to get sex. And it's like, man, you willingly gave it away like that? Like you didn't have no respect for yourself enough as a woman to not give yourself away that much to all of those men. Whereas a man, he gotta have qualities and skills to get a lot of women to want to sleep with him. It don't come that easy to us to get sex like that. So that's why it's not respected for women to move like a man moves out here, because they don't have to do anything to get sex. So,
and think about it, like a lot of the things that they say and do show us how much value that they place on sex.
Absolutely.
Let me just ask you, have y'all ever heard a group of guys talking about the restrictions on what they'll make a woman do before they fuck her?
Hell no.
Never, right? 40 plus, never ever heard men talking about a woman has to do X, Y, and Z before I'll fuck her, because that's not how men operate. And so when we're talking about how men and women value sex, we know men don't value sex itself. We value being fathers. We are careful about not getting STDs and kids and all that. But the value that women place on sex is exponentially higher than the value that men place on it. And it's never going to be equal. What was you about to say, Jay?
Fellas, now I just got a quick question for both of you. So what do you say to the woman that says, oh, well, it's a double standard? How come men can go out here and sleep with a bunch of women, but women can't go out here and sleep with a bunch of men?
Well,
they can.
The definition of a double standard is when a rule or a principle is unfairly applied to a person or group of people. There is no rule or principle that is being forced on women. Women are not forced to choose or prefer men that have been promiscuous or have swag or have a big dick or all those things. They could easily curve those guys and tell him he's not qualified and choose the guy that has never been with multiple women and is not very sexually active. They could choose those guys. That's just not what they prefer. And so a difference in preference is not the same thing as a double standard. There is nothing that is forcing women to choose to be with men that have been with lots of women. That's just what the guys they like.
Yeah, I mean, but even if they want to look at it as a double standard, I mean, and it's just in the way that we view it, how we view it, or as society views it. Like, you could call it a double standard, but again, they don't have a problem with the ones that make them out to be in a positive light. They only have a problem with the ones that don't. But you can go out and have sex with whoever you want. That's not the issue here. The issue is that if you are going to go out and do it, be a proud hoe. Be a proud hoe. and be happy. Don't be embarrassed when your sexual history comes out. Like men, we on a podcast that's hoes to husbands. We say, even though two of us not husbands yet, but we say, hey, yeah, we were hoes back in our younger days, whatever. Most women won't even admit that, even if they were hoes back in the day, because of the value that they place on sex themselves. It's not what we place on them, it's what they place on themselves.
And most women go out their way to conceal their sexual history and sexual past.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is quintessential example right here.
Because it's not necessarily that women are judged for the behavior itself, because it's not the amount of sex that you have, right? A chick could be fucking every day or every weekend and have a limited amount of guys she's doing it with, or just be very discreet about what she does, and she won't have any of the backlash. She's just not going around bragging about and parading about and being seen with multiple guys right after another. She's not doing the Lori Harvey world tour, you know what I'm saying, where she's publicly seen with every dude, you know what I mean? Like, how a woman moves and how the choices and decisions that she makes are going to be used against her. The same way that a guy's choices and decisions are held against him. You know what I mean? It's no different.
And the crazy part, most women want the guys that have a promiscuous sexual history, for a lack of better description. They don't want the guy that, in his mom's basement plays Fortnite and Call of Duty all day. And
right.
That's what they don't like.
House.
That's what they don't like. See, the problem is that most women want a man that is either a hoe or he was a hoe. And now he's a good guy that's transformed because he's still got choosing her qualities. Yep, he still got those qualities that women love. He can talk. He got his finances in order. He dressed nice. He got swag. He keeps himself groomed up. He got a nice career. Whatever the case, they love those dudes that are either hoes or are former hoes. And they want to try to change him or make him into a husband if he is a hoe, or marry the guys that are retired hoes, right? Whereas men, we don't want to, the majority of us don't want to wife a hoe. We treat a hoe like a hoe. Even if she's a former hoe, we be like, oh no.
You treat it with respect. You're not just gonna be disrespecting her or talking crazy. Yeah,
right.
I get it.
Respect. I'm talking about wifing her, and we know she is a hoe or a former hoe. We just not gonna attach our name to that. Like most men won't. Like, it's just what it is. And you're not getting the Valentine's
post. Nope. You're not getting posted for Christmas. We're not gonna be matching pajamas. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not
none of that.
But if you want to give some sloppy top, well, let that slide, because you a hoe and that's what you do. Just be happy. Just be proud about it. That's all.
All right, man. Let's keep things rolling, man. This next video is a topic that I haven't really seen discussed very often. It's a conversation about step parenting, and it's a clip from the Hard or Soft podcast with my man Tahoe. Let's take a listen.
Just spoke up with my boyfriend of 3 years because he told me he's getting full custody.
I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad at it either. That's not the lifestyle that she signed up for.
You know this person has 3 kids. If I was going to buy a house, my kids were never in the picture? Because when I get with a woman and she has children, her children are in the picture regardless of whether they live with her or whatever is not. I'm always checking in because I feel like it's important for me as a person dating you to actually care about your situation as well. Or I'm just f***ing you.
I think that she did the right thing. Neither one of you have ever had an experience with a stepmother that you did not get along with as a child, or don't value your presence and how that affects children. If you are not a person that you feel like you can be there for those kids in a positive way, I would so much rather you bow out.
All right, now I can understand where both of them are coming from. To me, if you're dating someone for 3 years, I would think and within those 3 years, you've talked about your future plans, or at least your future goals as far as family, relationship, etc. If not, then to me, that's an epic fail on that end. But I can understand a situation where a woman is dating a guy and she knows that he has 3 kids, but they don't live with him. A single dad's lifestyle is usually drastically different than a single mom's because they're not a custodial parent. If she's not in the space at that time to be a stepmom or be, full-time what he's expecting out of her, then I don't have any issue with her leaving the relationship. Because I would much rather have that than the situation that the lady in the video described, where you got the evil step parent, or there's resentment, or the child is mistreated, or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I think she did the right thing. I mean, I remember some months back where the woman was saying that she really hated the stepchild and wanted the child to just go away. Yeah, I remember that. It was a video that was out where she said she wished that child to go away, or go with mom, or give her up for adoption or something like that. And I would rather have the woman leave than to be in my household feeling that way about my kid. So I get it, and I understand it. I mean, you throwing away 3 years, that's a decision you got to make. You just got to live with the consequences of what you're deciding. If he's a really good guy, and you just not prepared to be a stepmom, I get it. But it's not all peaches and cream out here when you get out here and start dating and think you're going to find another good man like that. But you knew he had 3 kids from the beginning, and that could be a possibility at any time. Anytime somebody got kids that they are actively in their lives, anything could happen. The mom could have died. The mom could have passed. And now he got to take his kids, whatever. That's something that should always be in your mind as a step parent, because anything can happen. And I don't think that she thought that deep about it, that far out about it. And now that it's come to reality that he's going to get these kids, she ready to go. Hey, it is what it is.
Shout out to him for being willing to take on his kids, because there are a lot of men that don't. But you're right. That is part of the reality of dating someone, especially with multiple kids. How is that going to impact their finances, their time, their resources? You know what I mean? Like I could not see myself just getting in a serious dating situation with someone with 3 kids already, especially if I was somebody that was at the age where I wanted my own kids. So she can. Now, to me, this is what I would feel like, or I would define this as wasting time. You know what I mean? Like, because like you said, she knew about the kids. And if you didn't want to be that serious, why are you with them 3 years? Like, I should have never been on that serious of a level if it wasn't progressing towards actually being family. So
clearly she didn't think it through when getting into it, because like you said, she knew the kids and knew she would be a bonus parent if she's going to go to the next level. They're going to get married and everything, and eventually, especially if they're going to have kids of their own, it's going to be a blended family there. So she knew that. But at the end of the day, you would rather her step away if this is not something she really wants to do than, hey, she's in that relationship for 10, 15 years and she has resentment
and throw it in your face.
Kids.
Yeah.
You really don't want
to. You can sense that energy. You can sense that energy. Yeah. I mean, any breakup after 3 years is going to hurt, though, right? No matter what the reason is. But some things you just gotta, you can't control it. Like a relationship, both people have to agree to stay in it.
Exactly.
If the circumstances change to where one person can't deal with it, or it's a deal breaker, it is what it is. Like SD said, you just gotta live with it.
SD, you're a single father. You're a single father, aren't you?
That's correct.
Yep.
How you the custodial parent for your son?
No, we split time. Like, he's with me half the month, he's with her half the month. We got a good co-parenting thing going. Yeah, I don't have him all the time. Although in a couple years I will, because he'll be 12 or 13 or something. He need to be with me. That's what I prefer. So it's just one of those things.
How the women reacted when they find out, you're a single father, or your child's with you a lot? Like, how do women react to you? You ever get that kind of
love
vibe?
It.
Okay.
Yeah, most women love it, because I don't hide my boy. Like, he's with me so much. Like, this is what it is. If you're not with it, it's all good. And I haven't met a woman that I actually talked to that had an issue with it and wanted to go. Like, I haven't met that. Most women are perfectly fine.
But if it was an issue, it would come up real soon, I would think, right?
Yeah, unless she hides it, or, you know what I'm saying, keep something from me about it. Other than that, yeah, it'll come up pretty early. So, I mean, it is what it is. But if she's got a problem with my boy, because like I said, when he's 12 or 13, I want him with me full time. If she's got a problem with that, well, she got to go. I don't want you around. It's all good. Like, It's okay.
Yeah,
But
I can
my
understand
boy
it.
is gonna be with me, so it is what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, see that because that's way different than a situation like where a dude done lied
Right.
about having kids, and you find out 3
Yeah.
years in he got 3
Yeah.
kids. Like,
Right.
like that's
Yeah.
that's totally different.
Got
Like
3?
so,
Bro,
Man,
like not 1 but 3.
I knocked them up in
Man,
3 different states.
it's a lot of dudes out here living trife. You know what I mean? Living, leading with deception and all type of other things. Look like we up against the clock, man. We about to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna get into our topic of the night. Why'd he pick her? We're gonna be discussing a wife and a mother's perspective on the dating market. Y'all are tuned into the Ho to Husband podcast. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Ho to Husband podcast. We got our special guest on with us tonight. We got Alison on. What's going on? How you doing?
How you guys doing? I'm all right.
Good.
Very pleased to have you
Good
back,
back on.
a recurring guest on the podcast. Before we get into the conversation, can you let the new viewers know a little bit about you, your background, and your situation so they can see where you're coming from?
Yes, absolutely. So hello, everyone. My name is Alison. I am a certified dating and relationship coach, and I primarily work with women to help them find and keep the partners that they deserve.
All right. Well, can you? I know that you're married, and you recently had a child.
Yes.
So we wanted to bring you on to get the perspective of a woman that has actually accomplished the relationship goal of a lot of women, which is to be a wife and a mother.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question that I wanted to ask you: did you grow up like fantasizing about being a wife and all that? And what are some of the misconceptions that you had about being a wife or being a mother that you could share with the audience?
That's not my story. And I find it so strange when people talk about, I've always dreamed of my wedding and I've always dreamed of being a wife and a mom. I don't know if it's because I'm from Brooklyn, I'm born in the 80s, it's too rough and tough for you to be thinking about that kind of stuff. Or it's the Caribbean background. I don't know what it is, but I've never had that vision of I can't wait for me to grow up, or I can't wait to be a wife, or I can't wait to be a mom. I think I was just so in the moment of getting through, like I can't wait to get to 10th grade. I'm not here thinking about, where I'm going to be in my 20s and 30s. But I will tell you that once I got into my 20s, I realized that was something that I needed to work towards. And I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of women make, is that they feel like dating is just going to be so natural. Relationships will fall into their lap. Love is just going to be so perfect. They think it's a Disney tale, and they don't realize that just like anything else that you want in life, you have to work towards the degree, the physique, the job, the career. You also have to work towards putting yourself on the market in a way that you can find the partner you deserve.
Okay.
Alison, when I say those same things, I get called names. Maybe it's the way that I say it. Maybe that's what it is. I say the exact same thing.
So let me tell you, SD, I think what it is that people just feel more comfortable hearing the message from someone who looks like them. It's kind of like, if I could just veer off a little bit, like for Black people, right? Like if a Black person is telling me that I'm being irresponsible with my spending or something that I don't want to hear, I'm going to be more inclined to listen to them versus of the same person. But if they had some white skin, it's like, you don't know my experience. How dare you? You don't understand. You're the reason why it's important. You're the reason why I'm in this position in the first place. So for a man to be telling a woman this, it's harder. It's a harder pill to swallow, because generally it's your people, your species are the reason why we're struggling. That's the ideology. So then how dare you now come and tell me? even though
Al-
you're right in the sense that you have the insight. So I should be listening to you.
Gotcha. Alison, do you ever get pushback from anything that you say? Yeah, I mean, you've had a couple of viral videos there.
For the most part, no. The most part,
Okay.
no. I'd like to think that I present my opinions and my views and my advice in a way that's palpable. So it's like, it's not that bad. I think tone matters. I get some comments here and there on Reels because the Reels kind of just go out to the world. It's not your core audience, but relatively speaking, no, people are they're pretty willing to listen.
What are your thoughts on the recent video of Michelle Obama with the "you don't need to be your kids' friends"? Where do you fall on that?
So there's a couple of videos that's gone viral with her, and I appreciate her messaging. I appreciate her tone. Like, I think that it's going far. I think we're in a really strange place in society. It's like a pendulum between the traditional values and our modern values. And so for someone that's in her age range, that's reasonable and it makes sense. There was a video recently where she was talking about how she hated Brock for 10 years while they were raising their children, and a lot of people, there's been pushback about that. But I think that she's just in a different generation. And so this idea of not needing to be your children's friend is reasonable for her generation. Now, the Gen Zers, the ones who are coming up behind us, they have a different perspective. I'm old school. I relatively feel the same way. I don't want my kids to necessarily hate me, but at the same time, I'm not looking to be their friend. That's not my role. That's not my responsibility. My role is to teach them how to find the right friends, how to roll in the right circle, how to make the best decisions. And sometimes they don't want to hear that from mommy, and mommy don't want to hear no mouth. So I'm with her in that regard, but I do understand that we're in a really unique space right now in society where the tradition, modern, I don't want to say we're lost. It's just a really weird space.
Well, I think it's a weird space because I think that on both sides you have so many people that don't want to flex. You know what I'm saying? Because now in today's time, I think that we have to be a little bit of both. We have to still have some of those traditional values because women still desire a man that provides and protects and leads and those types of things. And men now, a lot of men can't afford to do a lot of things on their own, so they want a woman that works also.
Yes.
Well, if that's the case and you want her to work, you
Compromise.
have to also pick up some of her slack around the house with the cooking and the cleaning because she's helping you on the financial end.
Yes.
So I think that people are so not willing to compromise or settle on something that it causes a clash between both sides when it comes to traditional and modern ways of doing things.
I agree.
So
yeah, I can understand like I think what we're seeing with the comments from Michelle Obama regarding the parenting, I think that's really a problem that you have from the generations of teenage parents, where they parents is really the ones that funded everything and raised the household, but you got a 17-year-old that gets to call themselves a parent and get looked at from a different light than a normal teenager. Well, they're 29, still going to the club once they child is in their teenage years and stuff like that. I do agree that there should be some compromise. Like you have to be willing to tell your child what they need to hear.
Yes.
But you may have to do a TikTok dance with them or do something to help bridge the gap and show that you can, like be an active parent, that you're actually cool with them to some degree. As long as you don't let it compromise you or you find yourself making a childlike decision when you should be making a parental one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Alison, so I got a question for you. What do realistic standards in a man look like from a woman's point of view, and what do unrealistic standards look like?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing is a self-assessment. What do you have to offer, right? And I know that this sounds kind of crude, but we are on the quote unquote marketplace, right? And
That's
so
true.
what you have to offer matters in terms of what you're able to recoup, right? I think that folks need to stay in their lane. I think that's one of the biggest issues. And what I mean by that is that we have gentlemen who may not be doing well for themselves financially. They may not have, the most fit physique. They may not be the most handsome. However, they're drooling. They're drooling over the women that that have access to gentlemen who do have the finances, who do have the physique, who do have the looks, who do have the charm, who do have the swag. And so, and then when they don't get access to those women, then they're angry, and I could curse on here, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then it's bitches ain't shit. Like that's not realistic. The bitches that you want don't want you, right? And so it's not
that's a you problem from a male perspective. That's on you, dog.
True.
Right, absolutely. So what you need to do then, if you desire those types of women, then you need to level up so that you are desirable to those women. And I know you didn't ask me on the reverse end, but in terms of the unrealistic expectations from the ladies, I just talked about it just today. It's so funny you asked me that, because there's just some stuff is really outrageously shallow. We talk about the height thing. The guy has to be 6 feet. You're 5'2", you 5'4", you 5'6", you 5'7". Why the hell does this man need to be 6 feet? I get it. I get, like, from an animalistic perspective. A lot of this stuff is driven from nature, right? We're looking at it like the bigger the guy, the safer I'll be, right?
Absolutely.
So I get
correlation.
that. But in reality, in 2023, we're not fighting mountains and bears and living in caves, right? So we don't necessarily need that level of protection. It's not realistic. And now you're taking a lot of guys out of the running who would have been amazing husbands and fathers because they're 5'10". It's really shallow and really unrealistic.
Right. That's crazy. I think only about 5% of men are over 6 foot.
I think it's a little more. I think it's more like 10, but it's still a low percentage. It's lower than what I thought it was.
There's a thing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the delusion calculator.
Yes.
Where you can type in all these preferences women have, and it shows you how unrealistic a lot of them are in regards to men. It's hard to get women to understand that, though, right? Because a lot of women feel like because they can have sex with a man that's making 7 figures or a celebrity or something to that, on that level, they feel like the average dude in their community ain't good enough for them. And it warps their dating decision. The things that they expect out of those men, the type of dating experience they expect to see what they see on their timelines from Instagram, and a lot of that is a facade. So I think that really makes it difficult for people to find something that is realistic that can be maintained over time.
Yeah, I agree. But I would also say, in all fairness, that there is some, like, legitimate concerns with some of the guys that are on the dating scene. When we talk about being dishonest, misrepresenting who they are, how many children they have, whether or not they have children, misrepresenting whether or not they want to be married, whether or not they want to commit. And then we're surprised when women are jaded. We can't be surprised when someone is jaded when their experience over and over again is reflective of some dishonest practices. So I think there's definitely two sides of the coin for both parties. Like, I hate to sound like Trump, but there are good and bad folks on both sides. It really is the case.
Now, so when you deal with clients, do you have like a vetting system to kind of filter through that?
Yes, excellent. So my only requirement is that the person is emotionally stable. Like, if they're realistic, unrealistic, that's my responsibility to bring them down, right? And I hate to put it like that, because what I do is I have a consultation call. I have a master's degree in mental health counseling, so I can relatively assess whether or not somebody is emotionally sound, right? Once they're emotionally sound and they're prepared to go on the dating scene, them being realistic or unrealistic is my responsibility. I'm the coach. So just like you take a coach, that has a basketball team, and they think that they got players think that they're number one and they're the best of all time, it's the coach's responsibility to decide who starts, who doesn't start, who gets subbed out, who's going to get the winning shot, right? So that's my job. So I'm not really too concerned about vetting people who are only quote unquote realistic. I just need you to be emotionally sound. And then through our program, I'm going to get you to a place where, sis, what you're asking for is unrealistic, or you're not looking for the right things. You're not asking the right questions. And that's why you end up in this cycle.
Right. That's what I meant. Like, when they get on, let's just say, a dating site or meet a man initially, do you have them do a vetting process with the man?
Tell them what to look for?
If he's emotional.
I guess a better way to word it, like, what would you tell women that they should, like, what would your list of important qualities in a man be? I would say the important is, I think it's better to tell people what to look for than what to avoid. What would you say? What would you say are the characteristics that women should be looking for in a man?
That's a great question. And the reason it's so great is because I don't have them. And I'll tell you why. The morals and values that an individual has is going to be based on their own personal experience. So I'll give you an example. One of my non-negotiables was that the person was God-fearing, right? That they had a relationship with God. There are plenty of people who do not care about their partner being spiritual or religious or having a relationship or a walk with God. So for me to impart onto somebody else what their non-negotiable should be, it doesn't really make sense. What I do is I ask them to come with their list of non-negotiables. We go through each one. I ask them, what does that word mean? I need him to be faithful. I need him to be hardworking. I need him to be family oriented, whatever it is. I ask them, what do those words mean to you? Why are they important to you? And then we talk about how to assess them. But I don't tell people what their non-negotiable should be. Again, unless they're outrageous. If you're telling me that he needs to make a specific salary, first of all, I tell them before they get to session, these are the ones I will not accept. Do not tell me about a height. I will not accept that. Do not tell me about a salary. I will not accept that. Because a salary in itself means nothing. Somebody can make $400,000 a year and have alimony, child support, houses that are underwater, cars that they can't afford. So we could talk about someone who is financially sound, right? Managing their money well, budgeting, has investments, is thinking about retirement, things like that. But so I'll tell them what I won't accept, which are the egregious things. But relatively speaking, I don't tell people what their non-negotiables should be.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
That's fair. You know what? With money, here's the thing. Like they say, a fool and his money will always part ways. So that's great that you bring that up there about finances.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So and emotionally stable. Like, because if somebody's not emotionally stable, they not gonna really soak in what you're saying. A lot of times they'll fight back with it and buck at everything that you say because they think that you trying to show them up or tell them what to do or whatever the case. They're not gonna be in that space where they can receive the message and make adjustments. True. So that's a good thing to do, especially when you first get to know somebody with your consultation.
And then the other side of the coin too is that this is what I do professionally. I don't want to take $1 from someone who I don't think would be successful. And if you are not emotionally sound as an individual, then how the hell are you going to get in a relationship to build anything with anybody? So you need to worry and look out for yourself first and make sure that you are prepared to get on the dating scene, to build something with somebody. So that's why I wouldn't work with anyone unless they have shown me that they're ready. And if they're not, I recommend therapy.
Exactly. And that's great that with your dating services, you have a level of integrity there that you don't just take anybody, just take their money and go about your business there. Yeah, because a lot of people do that in this scene.
But shouldn't that be also something that they should look for in a man? Like, that should be one of those qualities that they should look for, like in being emotionally stable, because of some of the things that you just mentioned about being prepared to be in a relationship. If you're not emotionally there, then you're not gonna be good in this relationship. So one of the things you should be looking for in a man or a woman is that they are emotionally stable and in a space to where they can receive and give the love that they asking for.
Yes, absolutely. I think the hard side of that, though, is that because boys and men have been socialized to not express emotion or only express emotion that's related to anger, right? Men can be angry, men can be furious. That's relatively acceptable emotions, but the other ones are not. It's so much harder for women to realize that they should be looking for that stability, and two, to even assess it, because just historically, men are not very expressive.
True, but I think we express a little more. I get what you're saying, but in a healthy household, you taught to just control your emotions a little more, because we express frustration, irritation, being stressed or whatever the case, and so it's a little more than anger that we do express. It's just we don't do it that often.
Yeah, we don't have the flexibility that women and children do. You know what I mean? Like, because if a woman's dating a guy and he doesn't have any emotional control, something comes up, a water heater goes out in the car and he's crying over it and he's like that's going to exponentially make things worse, because the woman's respect level is going to dissipate. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like there are certain things just as a man you have to take on the chin, you know, financial
Yep.
ills. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna take losses being the dad in the family. You're gonna have to go out in the cold and do, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just gonna have to do certain things that come with being the man. And you don't always get rewarded or acknowledged for it. And so, but I think that's one of those things that, you know, on TV, they see that. Thanks, babe. Great job, honey. You know what I'm saying? Like they do all that type of stuff, but that may not be what your experience is when you actually in a real relationship, in a real household. So I think it's important that people have realistic ideas of what to expect when they get into a serious relationship. Go ahead, Jay.
Yep, that's a quick question for you. So, does a woman's upbringing affect her ability to be a good wife or a good mother?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Right. I think it's very Freudian, but I think that your childhood definitely has an impact on everything that you go through as an adult. Your ability to function as a wife, as a mom, everything. Your ability to just function as a human being in society. When you have the examples in your household of what healthy looks like, then you're able to replicate it very easily. You've lived minimum 18 years under this umbrella of expressive love, attention, affection, respect, right? All of those qualities that make relationships healthy. If you don't grow up in those instances, you don't have a direct view of it. Like we might have saw it on TV, you might have saw Family Matters, you might have saw Uncle Phil and how well he treats Carlton and them, but relatively, if you didn't live in it, you don't have the level of experience that someone who has lived in it has. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't figure it out. It doesn't mean that you can't realize and learn on the opposite end, right? For instance, someone has an alcoholic parent and they say, I'm never going to touch alcohol. Right? It doesn't mean that just because you grow up in an environment that's unhealthy that you're going to replicate it. Right? You can learn what not to do. People can do the work of self-discovery, reading books, listening to podcasts, going to therapy. So it's not like it's the end of the world where you cannot function in those roles if you don't have the direct experience, but it definitely makes it easier if you do.
Yeah, so it's the same for men too. Like if you never grew up with a father that was married to your mom, showing the proper way to lead a household, it's going to be a lot harder for a boy, a guy that grew up, not to not know how to do that effectively as a man, and how a man is supposed to handle their business. So it definitely plays a part. And it's just like you said with alcohol, there are studies done that if your father or somebody was alcoholic, it's a 70% chance you'll be. If they were abuser, it's a 70% chance you'll be. It's the same thing when you're talking about positive traits, whether it's the love, the submission, the affection, the nurturing spirit or whatever. It's still the same thing. You got a better chance of showing those things to somebody that you love in a relationship than you do if you don't have that in your household on a daily basis. But also, like you said, you can come out of that because we got examples like LeBron James and Jay-Z or whoever else that treat their households good with their kids or whatever the case. But a lot of the times it definitely affects how you are as an adult. There's no way around it.
No way around it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that we have so many people that are having these type of discussions on different podcasts, shows, etc. But to me, it just seems like so many people complicate things and make it more difficult than it has to be. Because I've always felt like if you have effective communication, if you're actually compatible, you have effective conflict resolution skills and effective communication, that gives you kind of the tools necessary to be able to get over any of the rough patches that come up in a serious relationship. But I think a lot of people, they're so in a finesse culture where they just trying to see what they can get out the situation, or they start texting and then having sex without actually getting to know each other, that people end up in serious relationships with people that they should never even really get past casual dating with.
Absolutely. Technology has complicated things for sure. And I agree with you that I think that life is a lot easier than what we make it. Relationships are a lot easier than what we make it. But there are some new complications that we face as a society with the pressures of social media, the constant imagery that we see of what it's supposed to look like. And in reality, in some cases, not in all, because I don't want to be like, oh, everyone's faking the funk. But in some cases, those images are not real, right? Like
they're edited.
Those same people are taking photos, relationship relationship goals on a beach in Jamaica and they fighting in the hotel room minutes later, you know? So we have those pressures. We have access to people that we never had access to before. You dated who went to your high school, period. You in a little town, that was it. You had to find your love of your life as your high school sweetheart. Now we can talk to people across the country and around the world. And then so that there's going to be temptations, right, that you never had before as well. And then the texting. I tell my clients, like, man, you cannot learn somebody via text message. You cannot do it. You got to get on the phone, period. I don't care if that's what he wants. I don't care if that's what you want. You need to get on the phone. You need to get on video. You need to get in person.
Something. I had somebody ask me about that. I think we had one of our DM questions where they're like, the dude only texts after months. Like, I can understand you texting, you know, the first day or two, but in today's age, if you can't video call me and let me see who you really are, to me that's a red flag, you know. And I wouldn't like you get catfish in 2022.
You a whole fool out there.
Exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, but I have to talk to a woman. I grew up with no phones back in the day, so I had to learn how to talk to women. So if I'm interested in a woman, I gotta make sure she don't sound like Mufasa when she get on the phone. I want to know that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. I can't get to know intricate details about you as a woman through text. You know, I don't like the texting so much and all the time because it gives people too much time to say the right thing.
Yes.
When you get texted, now you can sit there and be like, no, I ain't gonna say that. Whereas on the phone, your reaction comes up.
I never thought about it like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like the texting is fine, don't get me wrong, but if I really like you and I'm feeling you like that, I want to hear your voice and how you respond to me. Not just on the phone, but I want to see you in person and talk to you face to face. So I can see how you respond to certain things and how you like my cologne smell or something. I can't do that over text.
Me too.
That's absolutely accurate, SD. I don't know about the gentlemen. I don't think y'all do this, but I will tell you a little secret about the ladies if you don't know. When we are in arguments with our partners via text, we send screenshots of what he said to our group chat. And as a group chat, we formulate responses.
Y'all group argue, man. That's all messed up.
Yeah,
right? Because we need a meeting of the minds to be able to orchestrate the best response. Right? Now, I'm not saying this is everybody all the time, but they know what I'm talking about. If they haven't done it, they know what I'm talking about. And so you're absolutely on target when you say, when you're face to face, it's off the fly. Like whatever you say, bad, good, or indifferent, it's how you felt in that moment. And that's so much more real than some orchestrated text message of, let me get 6 other girlfriends to come together to decide what's the best way that we're going to shut this argument down.
Oh, man.
So, fellas, when y'all arguing, y'all not fighting a fair fight there.
Get on the phone. Get on the phone and you know what you're talking about.
Arguing through text is a L just from the jump. You know what I mean? Like women, her message gonna be 4 times as long as yours. You gonna be, you know, fact checking and pointing out the assumptions she made and all that. That's a loss all the way around from a male perspective.
Be pushing on the screen hard to them.
I mean, you ever been arguing like, and you out somewhere, you be in Walmart, the same spot, 19 minutes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
They think you stealing. They looking at you around the corner like, what this fool stealing? No, man, I don't like it.
Alison, I got a quick question for you. So, what are some of the biggest obstacles that you see some of your clients face when it comes to the dating game?
So one really large obstacle is that they're not willing to date online or in person. They have this unrealistic, they have an unrealistic expectation, and they don't know this. They don't say this aloud because it sounds so foolish what I'm about to tell you.
Right.
They think that this man is going to just fall into their lap. He's going to, I don't know, just ring the bell. He's going to be lost in the neighborhood. He got a flat tire, and he is going to roll up. Again, it sounds so ridiculous, but I'm telling you, if you are not putting yourself out there I would say online and in person, but at least one of the two, it's not going to happen. And especially because so many people work from home, then you're not even seeing them on a train, at the Starbucks, or in the office. So it's really one of the difficult things I have to get over of, sis, you have to get outside, either virtually or physically, in order for you to engage with people. Like that is the first step. And I had a client who told me one time, I asked her, What is she looking for? She says she wants a husband, but she doesn't want to date. You'd be so surprised how many people will say in the same breath, they want a husband, but they don't want to date.
To me, that sounds like I want a shortcut to a husband.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it is. And it does not work like that. You're not going to get abs if you are not doing crunches and you're not watching your diet. Well, I mean, you can go get surgery, but you get my point, right? If you're doing it the way
how do you respond to people that think online dating is taboo? Because you still have some that say, well, I'm not going to date online because it seems desperate.
That is 20 years ago.
That's why.
That's old school. That doesn't exist anymore.
I've heard it before.
Especially after COVID. I think I saw a statistic that said that the dating profiles increased by 600% in the first 6 months of lockdown of COVID in March of 2020. So the same human beings who are outside are the same human beings that are on dating apps. Now, if you want to say that the folks outside are trash, then fine, say that. But please do not think that the folks who are online are desperate and pathetic and losers, and then the ones who are in person who are amazing. Good, bad, or indifferent. The same people that are in person are the same ones who are online.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Alison, it looked like we are up against the clock. We don't want to take up too much of your mommy time.
Yes.
Before we get up out of here, can you let our audience know where they can contact you, where they can find your content, etc.?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. It's always a joy. Sometimes we disagree, but it's always with respect. And I really appreciate the fact that you guys have invited me back and you think my opinion is worthy enough to share this stage with you. So I just want to thank you again for having me.
No problem.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. So you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all at Align with Alison, ALIGN with Alison. My website is bookalison.com.
All right. We definitely enjoyed the conversation. We'll definitely have to have you in the future again. Before we get up out of here, I want to give a quick shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background audio. I want to remind y'all to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. JSD, man, I appreciate y'all linking up so we can get another episode knocked out. This has been another episode of the Ho to Husband podcast, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.